Hello, I'm Matt.
I'm Sonja.
And welcome to our Life and Podcast, and holy you can see us.
It's a new format.
So I hope we don't scare any of you away by showing our lovely mugs. But we are trying something new here with the video format as of right now. This is what we will do going forward, unless it is absolute shit. But I hope you guys like it. As always, like, comment, subscribe, do all that good old-fashioned YouTube stuff. I hope that this format actually helps us going forward because it is, a YouTube video.
And you can see us.
So, anyway, this week we see, I'm already tripping over my words. We're sitting here, we're live. It's gonna be less editing.
We're talking about our trip to Japan.
Yes, this week we are going to be going over our trip to Japan, which we took it in the winter of 2019.
Into 2020. January.
Into 2020, yes. The reason we want to talk about this is because of how big of a deal it was to me. We've had a couple people that are generally interested in this whole thing, and I think that we have a lot to show, and stay tuned till the end. We're going to actually show off some of the swag that we got from Japan.
Yeah.
So, to get this story here started, I think I should go into why I personally had wanted to go to Japan since I was, a kid, very young kid. I was always into anime, video games, things like that. I was
nerd.
Well, as they call it in this culture now, they say weeb.
Weeb, whatever that is.
But the one thing, as dumb as it is, that really kind of pushed me towards wanting to go to Japan was when I played a certain game called Mystical Ninja starring Goemon. I played this game when I was fairly young, maybe 8 years old, and while it might not have aged well by today's standards, I used to look at the aesthetics and listen to the music in the game, which was all very much Japanese inspired.
Dash dash.
And I used to think to myself, man, this Japan place that this takes place in has to be some interesting land, some mystical land, because there's a lot of very different and quirky things in that game, and a lot of that stuff appealed to me, and I just always wanted to go. So instead of running on a sentence, so what happened next was, for many years after I had the ability to work, make my own money, it's always kind of been in the back of my mind, kind of trying to find a way to take this dream trip of mine. I just noticed my tits were eating my shirt, I'm sorry. But I want to take this trip of mine, and the process of coming up with a way to get to Japan led me down a couple of different ideas, trying to raise money through various means, saving what I could from my jobs, even though I don't even think at most of my jobs I didn't even make enough in a year to cover one plane ticket, probably.
Yeah, a plane ticket in the United States, just not overseas.
Yeah, and that's not counting if I had to, not pay bills and, take care of other things. So, it always seemed very out of reach for me. No matter what I tried, what I did, even though this was like my dream vacation, it never seemed possible. Until the beginning of 2019. At this time, I was actually working at a pretty decent job. Not a job I particularly liked for certain aspects, but that's for a different podcast. But it definitely did pay well, and it paid well enough where a combination of what I earned plus our tax return from that year actually made it possible for us to fly to Japan. That is, if I can convince Sonja to do so. So, I knew, to me, and little did I know how right I was, that if I didn't go at that moment when I actually had the time and money that I was never probably going to be able to go, period. So I actually made a slideshow for Sonja to try to convince her that going to Japan at that time was the right idea. Not to say that Sonja didn't have valid concerns about us going.
My concerns were our son. He always planned it to go on New Year's, so our son would have been a year and like 4 months. So I was just skeptical, and I'm always worried about money. That's just how I am. And yeah, he had this whole slideshow prepared, and he made me watch it in the living room, and I was just like, really?
The different things in the slideshow that I used to convince her to were varied from the idea of spending New Year's in Japan and how unique that experience could be, to the various foods, including one that Sonja unfortunately still has not tried, spoiler alert. But after much convincing and maybe a little bit of doing it anyway, besides what Sonja said, I did get the tickets.
Yeah, he bought the tickets, and I was just like, well, okay, he didn't even wait for my answer, but it was kind of, I was dragging my feet and stuff just because I was worried, and then you were like, I got him. I was like, okay, let's go, I guess.
Well, despite making Sonja mad for a brief period of time, I wasn't
really mad. I was just like, I don't know, not disappointed, but I don't know, worried, I think, more than mad.
And valid reasons, as we will come to eventually. God damn it, sorry. Hold on. I'm good. We're good. We're good? Okay, we're cool. Anyway. So, not much to really talk about between that the moment when I bought tickets and the moment we left, other than me shitting myself with anxiety, both for the fact that I was actually going to be taking my dream trip, but the fact that I was also going to have to be on a flight for a long time. Like, how long was it altogether?
The first one, I don't know altogether, but the first one was like 14 and a half hours. That's from Dallas to Narita. The one way back was like 11 hours. But in total, like the first one probably was almost 20 hours probably.
Oops, sorry. Got that gut there. So yeah, I was not psyched to be in the air that long, and part of the reason was I used to be very good with flights, used to be able to fly without any issue, but then I took one trip from New York to Louisiana that I took with one of my friends, and we had some really bad turbulence on that flight. At one point, the flight dipped in the air, like, very suddenly. I don't know how far it dipped, but it took a dive for a minute. And then when we hit another wind pocket, the plane completely went sideways, threw a bunch of microwaved hamburgers into my friend's lap. But I was, the whole rest of the ride was very rocky. So, ever since that very bad experience, even though I know it was unlikely that anything would ever happen, I was still very, very nervous about flying, let alone for that long.
Well, before that, I only flew maybe twice. But I was going to go back a few pages ever. I did want to go to Japan. I wasn't as, like, a big... Like, I was starting to get into it because I was getting into anime and stuff like that. But this was, like, his childhood dream. Me, like, I was excited to go to somewhere that wasn't the United States. Because I haven't really traveled at all. It's just, like, it was a bigger deal for him than me. But trust me, I still wanted to go, and I was very excited. I was just hella nervous.
Yeah, sorry if I didn't make that clear. Hold on one second. Pardon me. Anyway, the story of our Japanese trip really is a tale of two trips. One being everything that happened on the flight over, and the other being the actual vacation part. So, on the flight over, to begin with, before we even got on any flights, which is something I'm sure a lot of people are used to. They changed our flight several times and also changed how long the flights would take due to layovers and whatever.
Excuse me.
Bless you. The only problem was, hey, live. The only problem was we were never informed. Sorry, I had to think of what I want to say. We were never informed of these changes. The only reason I knew of these changes was when I went to do like a pre-check-in sort of thing.
I asked you what time we had to get up and what day we had to leave and stuff, and then you were like, wait a minute.
Just get a little closer on Mike. I don't know if it picked you up. No, sorry. I'm sorry, I'm just saying. But yeah, they never informed us of the changes. I had something set up too through Expedia, who we booked it through, to give us notifications on that sort of stuff, and they didn't. And what ended up happening is when we found out how things were changed, it ended up that we were too late to really do any other changes to make for a better trip, or a more smooth trip, shorter trip. And we actually had an overnight stay in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, which we'll get to in a minute, but I had to book a hotel there because I didn't want to have us staying in the airport with a 1-year-old child overnight.
Yeah, but it was a 10-hour delay, too.
Yeah, it was a very long delay. Like I said, it was overnight. So the flights going to Dallas were, for the most part, okay. I didn't have any issue with the flights. And the hotel...
Oh, yeah, you did. Okay, the first flight was really good. It was only like an hour. It was from Syracuse.
It was Syracuse to Chicago.
Raiden did really good, our son. But you ended up getting caught on the arm of the seats and ripping your pants.
I actually did forget about that, which I believe leads into another part, but I'm not sure. No, it don't.
No, not this one. That's later.
Yeah.
But yeah, like how it was set up, because I don't think they sold all the seats, so we had like basically the back 4 rows to ourselves. So it was me, and there was an empty seat in case I wanted to put Raiden down. And Matt was like across from us with 2 seats. So and then behind us was the stewardess. So we had like 4 freaking rows that were empty. But it was pretty good. And Raiden ate some snacks with me because they had like, I don't know, like Chex Mix or something like that. Because they don't have peanuts anymore. No, it's pretzels. That's what it was. Pretzels.
So,
sorry,
I did forget apparently that, yeah, I tore my pants, and I think I obviously changed those, I think, when we got to the hotel, didn't I? But
it wasn't a huge rip, but you had to kind of like hide it.
I had to do the little shimmy, which was fun in Chicago, trying to find our terminal with that.
I have a story for Chicago too.
Oh, okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So we landed in Chicago. We had about an hour or 2 delay, and we did our business, like went to the bathroom and stuff like that. I come out, and my son is eating chicken nuggets, and I'm like, "Where did he get these?" And he goes, "Oh, the family right there." It was a couple with a girl, like she was probably like a 10-year-old girl, and I was like, "Okay." I'm like, "We did feed him, so it's like whatever, let him go for it."
Well, the reason they did that to begin with was because he got a little fussy, which I can guarantee it was more because he was tired than hungry, because he had been eating. And they had offered, and
that's because they had like a 20-piece or something like that, and they had extra.
Yeah, I mean, it was very weird, but whatever.
Yeah, because I was like, what the I was gone for like 5 minutes.
I mean, I would think they could be poisoned, but once you're in a fucking airport, you know, the only thing you're getting is from the airport, so.
Yeah, it was McDonald's. But they were like laughing at him and playing with him the whole time. That was fun.
Anyway, so we get from Chicago to Dallas, and my God, the Dallas airport's whatever. We'll get to that in a second, but for our time, we had to get to our hotel room, which we took a taxi that went from the airport to the hotel. She was a great driver, I tell you. But
Oh yeah, we were like sideways at one point.
I mean, it's probably what you'd expect from a taxi driver at an airport.
Well, at least it was free.
Yeah, it didn't cost us anything, thankfully. But the hotel itself was gorgeous, honestly. I thought it was a really nice hotel.
Yeah.
And we only paid like $40, I think, for the night.
Yeah, that's probably because it was Texas prices. But the room was huge. They had like a fountain out. Was it the pool?
Yeah, it was a pool, but it had like this nice little fountain that was squirting out water and stuff.
Yeah,
and that was right
really
outside our
pretty.
room. It would have been better if we had time to enjoy something like that, but we didn't.
Yeah, the lobby and everything was huge. I'm like, we're not even into our room yet, and this thing was like 100 times better. And it was just a Best Western.
So there was that. The bed was really comfortable. The shower was nice, and the breakfast, the continental breakfast, easily the best continental breakfast I've had anywhere.
Oh yeah, because we had like French toasts and like eggs and
Yeah,
like bacon and
they
stuff.
had breakfast tacos too.
Yeah, I can't remember like all of it, but I know there was like a huge spread, and you came back with like 2 full plates, and we just were like eating together and sharing with Raiden.
Which we sure as hell needed on the next flight to get past that. So shout out to the Dallas Fort Worth Airport Best Western. Really, really nice stay for the price.
Recommend.
Anyway, so now we start getting into the more tragic portion of our tale, as I would say.
Kind of, yeah.
When we had to get onto the flight, sorry if I keep looking off at my notes, we had to get on the flight heading towards Narita in Tokyo. And while I was in Dallas, while we were waiting for the flight to leave, I
think that got delayed a little bit too. Cause
it did get delayed a little.
We were supposed to leave at like 10:30, but we didn't leave until like 11:30. So it wasn't delayed that long, but it was just like, man, let's go. We're excited. Let's go.
But I use the Wi-Fi at the airport, which is something I don't necessarily recommend because it's an open network.
It's slow too.
And I looked at my email, and in the email, I got an email from Expedia. And in the email, it told us that our luggage was going to be delayed. Basically, that we'd be arriving ahead of our luggage, and as far as when it would come, who knows?
He did not tell me this until we got to the hotel in Japan.
Yeah, I kept this information from Sonja for a couple reasons. I know that's terrible on me.
Well, it wasn't a big deal anyway.
But the reason I kept this from her was so she didn't have something else to worry about on the flight over. And plus, hell, who knows? It might have worked out. Does it work out? You'll find out. But that flight over to Tokyo, besides this issue, wasn't exactly the best either. It started for me with the seat because, as you guys probably know, I'm a bigger dude. Oh, don't give me that look. It's true. I mean, we have video proof now.
Stop it.
But what happened was my seat, the armrest on the seat. First of all, I'm just going to point out that the international flight had the smallest seats out of any flight we took, which is stupid, in my opinion. You'd think they'd be the more comfortable seats.
Yeah.
They're not. It was significantly smaller than the other flights we took, and I had a little trouble fitting in the seat.
That wasn't really the problem. Fit.
The armrest was digging into my side a bit, and I noticed that other people had their armrests up.
Like
so I'm
in the row in front of us and like a couple near us.
And I'm just sitting here next to Sonja, so I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'll just raise up the armrest and we'll be all good to go.
It would be better with Raiden, too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, turns out I have the seat with the broken armrest.
Yeah, we're broken. We had like 2 stewardess try to help us. I tried it. He tried it. Was not budget.
But as a result of my particular seat, I had a bruise on my ass for the first few days that we were in Japan. The second thing for me and my terrible flight anxiety that I was having was we went around Alaska to get to Japan, and the whole time we were in the Alaska and airspace, we had pretty damn bad turbulence. Yeah.
It
Something
was
like
really
that.
bad. I had to hold Raiden a lot. I mean, I was holding him anyway, but I, like...
So, I'm stuffed in this small pocket, shitting myself because of the turbulence. And on top of that, this was the only flight so far that Raiden had got really fussy.
That was towards the end. He was sleeping at this part. I think the motion of the ocean was making him, like, rocking him because he was sleeping soundly on me.
When we got to get closer to Japan, they have those tracker things that were on the back of the seat where our TVs were, and I kept checking that to see how close we were to Japan. One, because of excitement. Two, because of my situation at the moment. And I was really expecting, when we got to Japan, I was hoping to see some cool architecture, something like that from the sky, see...
Skyscrapers, anything.
Yeah. All I saw was, like, a bunch of farmland.
Farmland, yeah! I mean, that is a big part of Japan, too. They do have, like, a good portion of some of their islands do have a lot of different farming.
But sometime during this, Raiden actually threw up on me. And Sonja, I believe, too.
It wasn't, like, throw up. It was mostly, like, bile and stuff because he was crying a lot and getting worked up. And it just was, like, kind of... But it wasn't a lot. It was more, like, bile, I'd say. He got most of it. I got a little bit of it. And I was like, oh. Because we were trying to give him suckers and stuff so the pressure would leave his ears. But sometimes it was hard to give him something because he was just crying and everything.
So, we land in Narita, and I'm going to be honest with you, despite the shitty flight, despite being exhausted at this point, covered in puke, and not even seeing anything that really drove home that I was in Japan, knowing I was there honestly did kind of make me a little... I wouldn't say I cried necessarily, but it definitely hit me. It hit me in the feels, as they would say.
Yeah, you didn't get emotional or anything, but you're just like, oh my god. I'm like, simmer down.
I mean, it's probably hard to describe to a lot of people, but having something that literally I wanted to do my whole life, basically, and then it's just literally right there. It's a hard feeling to describe, honestly.
It's definitely weird. I remember when we finally got off the plane and went to the airport, we saw this little cubby, and it was filled with smokers because they have in Japan. In Japan, they do have quite a bit of smokers, but they have designated areas because some places do allow smoking, but a lot of them they have like their separate thing. Well, this was like. Probably like, it looked kind of like an old train cart thing, but it wasn't. It looked like a greenhouse because it's all windows, but they were just packed in there like sausages. I was like,
yeah,
wow.
It was the space. I have a hard time coming up with a proper simile for the space size, but it was quite small, and they were packed elbow to elbow in there, and you just see smoke clouds circling the whole fucking glass area.
I thought it was funny. I was like, God damn, welcome committee over here.
So Narita itself was not fun either. So obviously
this
everybody...
is when my anxiety went up.
all of us are exhausted, and there was a couple of things that were missed on the way there. We were supposed to fill out a customs form.
That wasn't our fault. The girl went through and was handing it to people, but she like skipped us and never came back. So
yeah, and
we got fucked out of it.
So yeah, we had that issue with the customs form. So I had to figure out when we got to the airport where I had to go to fill out the customs form. Meanwhile, there's thousands of people in the terminal.
That's because one section of the airport was closed off for like construction or something like that.
Yeah.
So everyone had to go to this one terminal, and it just was like, woo!
So yeah, I had to figure out how to do the customs there, and also just where to go so we can get processed, get through the quickest. Raiden was still tired. He was still fussy. Sonja was also me and Sonja's anxiety was high at this point.
The thing was, I didn't understand like what you were trying to do because you never told me. You were just like, because you were thinking what you were going to do, but you never told me. So I was like, what the hell's going on? And then you finally told me like, oh, I'm trying to figure out the customs thing and filling out the paper.
Sorry, I didn't mean to peacock on you. I was just checking myself out. How's it going? Anyway.
Yeah, that's basically it. Raiden, he was just fuzzy because I think all the big crowds and stuff like that he wasn't really used to, and he was very tired. He was just crying and stuff, and I was just like trying to calm him down. He wasn't like freaking out like ah. He was just whiny.
So we get through customs, and our next stop was, I'm just gonna say customs part 2. Because we had to fill out information as to where we were staying, how long we were staying, etc. I think that's just normal procedure. Yeah. But I was trying to find that place because, again, it was clearly signed, but at the same time there was construction going on, so trying to work around where we actually had to go, where the detours were.
No, because once we did, like, the custom thing, we went through, and we found, like, the people checking our passports and stuff. That wasn't that far. I think after that passport thing, like, the passport checking in, going to the luggage, that was difficult.
So, I actually think this is our first true experience of Japanese culture, to an extent, because we went to baggage claim. Again, on the off chance our luggage would have actually come with us. And
again, I still didn't know.
Yes, I still didn't know. And we were sitting there waiting for the baggage. Nothing showed up. But then we looked over, just off to the side of the baggage claim. I think it was against a wall or something like that.
I saw my stroller.
Yeah, she saw...
I was like, I think that's it, because that's our stroller.
So yeah, we our luggage at some point had showed up actually before us. And luckily, no one took it. But like I said, this is probably the first example of Japanese culture, because not only did no one take it, they put it off on a nice little corner in the side, out of the way. But despite that email I got, the first, I guess, stroke of luck we had was the fact that the luggage...
I think it's because they put it on a wrong plane. That plane landed, I think, before us or around the same time as us. Because by the time we got through customs and stuff like that, it was like at least an hour passed.
So, yeah, it took us a long time to get through customs and even longer to figure out how we were getting to our hotel. Looks like I had a little bit of a sound hiccup.
It's fine from the table.
Whatever. So it took us a while to figure out how to get out of the airport, like I said. And I also had to pick up or go to the ATM, withdraw money. It's because almost everything in Japan is done with cash and not card. As good as this is, though, for us, it was the fact that our bank that we have has no fees for any of that, so it made it easy to actually get our money out of the ATM and whatnot.
Yeah, and you got the Suica cards, which is used for the subways and trains and stuff. Yeah,
I made sure to get those also before I left. As she said, they come out of these little, basically similar to an ATM. You put a certain amount of money in, and you put it on these cards, and you use those cards for not just the subway, but there are places that take them
like
as
machines and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was the main use for them. That's like the main use for people.
Funny enough, I don't have that on my pile of swag over here to show off.
I think it might be my swag.
Okay, so we're good for that. Anyway, before we left, I did pick up what I'm just going to call the best drink ever.
That was that was after we took the bus.
No, I got the drink before we got on the bus because that's how come I had the change in my pocket that will lead to some issues here in a minute.
Well, you got another one when we landed on the bus because I remember being in TCAT and you got it.
Yeah, after the jog that we had to take through Narita, I was clearly don't take much for me to get, thirsty and
I had
tired.
just a couple points before we got to our hotel.
But yes, Aquarius, name of the drink. I know I'm all over the place here, but again, highly recommend. Fucking amazing drink. I drank like 80 of those.
How would you describe the taste?
Come in a jar. I'm not serious.
Well, I thought you were going to say like a citrus grapefruit taste.
It is a citrusy grapefruit drink, which means I know a few people that wouldn't like it, but to me it was pretty good.
Matt has been trying to get this drink online and through Asian Marts, but no avail. But the only thing I was going to say before we get on the bus was we landed about 3 o'clock, 3:15 afternoon their time, and we didn't leave Narita until about 6:30. We were there for 3 hours. And the line, like, after he got the Suica card and the yen, we were going to see how to get to our hotel. The subway or train line was huge. I'm like, I am not spending another hour here. Get me the frig out of here. I'm like, let's take a bus. The bus, I think, ended up being cheaper by a little bit.
That isn't true, but
the train, a hell of a lot faster.
The trains leading from Narita to wherever the hell we were going were overpacked, but they were, I'd say, about half the price we paid for the bus. But the thing with the bus is, I actually thought it was going to be much more expensive, but apparently they had some sort of discount that we were able to take advantage of.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and we actually got it way cheaper than we probably would.
Well, I know it was... Wasn't it like 30 yen a person or something? Or $30 a person? It was like...
No, it wasn't even that much. I think it was 3,000 maybe for all of us.
Oh, well, Rain don't count. He was under the age.
Yeah. So we get on the bus. We have our luggage that was stored underneath, but we had a couple bags we had with us.
Just carry on.
And I think that was the moment where I started to calm down, and I started...
We both did. Yeah,
I really started to take note of where I was, and it was... Even though it was nighttime, it was really interesting to see some of the stuff we saw on that bus.
Because some stuff was like lit up, like the big Ferris wheel was like all rainbow.
Yeah, there's a big Ferris wheel that's in Yokohama, and that was lit up. We could see that pretty clearly. Overall,
the whole ride was just relaxing. We were so excited and like seeing some of the cool like landmarks and stuff.
So we got to a terminal that's called TCAT. I can't remember what it stands for.
No, but it was just basically the bus station.
We got to TCAT, and Sonja gets off the bus.
My hands were full with like all our carry-on bags, which is like his diaper bag, well, Raiden's diaper bag / take-on bag, my bag, and like something else. So I got off the bus, and I was like, okay, can you handle Raiden and the other stuff? So I got off to get our luggage. Sorry.
She got off to get our luggage. I grabbed Raiden. In my pockets, I had my wallet, I had yen, and I had, I believe, Sonja's phone, or my phone, because we brought my phone with us.
We both had our phones, but I think mine was in my purse.
And as I grabbed Raiden, I somehow managed to bonk the poor kid's head off of the overhead luggage compartment.
You've been on a bus. They have like that weird shelf thing that runs through the whole bus. That's what it was.
And Raiden starts crying, and I feel terrible for that already. To add to that, there's this poor Japanese woman in front of us doing her damnedest to speak English and asking, oh, is he okay? Is he okay? You know? And I'm trying to say, yes, he's okay, all this other stuff, and I'm holding Raiden with one arm. Meanwhile, while I'm trying to do this, the weight of my pants finally gets to me. And they drop around my ankles right there on the bus. My first impression that I left on the Japanese people as a foreigner from America is my giant ass again.
Meanwhile, I was outside waiting for like the guy, because the guy was handing out all the stuff or like putting it on the side, and I was like, why is Matt not out here? Because we were sitting towards the front of the bus. I'm like, what the hell's happening? He comes down and Raiden is kind of whining. I'm like, what happened? And he's like,
let's just fucking leave.
I'll tell you in a minute. I'm
let's
like,
just
what
get out
happened?
Of here. So yeah, made a fool of myself pretty much immediately upon arriving in Japan. But we walked from the terminal, the bus terminal, to our hotel. And man, did that
Which is
walk...
only like a block away.
Did that walk, even for a block away, that walk did a lot to kind of unwind me a lot there.
Yeah.
Regardless, we didn't do much our first night. We just basically showered, went to bed. Sorry, I don't know what I was going to say, but our hotel room had this interesting little soup bowl, as I called it, that I used to...
The bathtub?
Yeah, that I love to shower in. It seems kind of small, but it was much bigger than it looked.
It was small, but deep.
Yeah, it was very relaxing to take a shower in that thing.
We were on the 11th floor, and it was really pretty. Like, we had, like, a little window, and, like, we had a bunch of skyscrapers as our view, and I'm like, this is cool. But it's so weird we're on the 11th floor.
But yeah, so the next day is when our trip really gets started, but before that, I had woke up. Everybody was still asleep, but I was very restless.
Didn't you wake up at like 4 or 5 in the morning? Because
it was like 3 or 4 in the morning, something around that. And I left Sonja and Brayden in bed, and I was just like, I'm gonna go take a little walk down to the end of the block, breathe some fresh air, whatever.
See our surroundings.
Yeah, see our surroundings, and just kind of really take in everything. And as I'm walking, the only thought I could have is, my God, it's cold out here. And then I was like, in particular, my legs are kind of cold. That's when I reached down and realized that the pajama pants, or the pair of pants, whatever it was that I wore out, had a giant hole in the backside. So for those keeping count, I haven't even been in Japan 24 hours, and I've already showed my ass off to everybody twice.
Good impression.
Not to mention, I showed my ass off when I ripped my pants the first time too, because I forgot about that.
How'd you forget about that?
I don't know how I forgot, but I didn't remember that. So that was the big story, I guess, of our trip, not counting the stuff we did. I definitely felt overwhelmed, and I didn't even know what to do that first day. I was tired because I was still jet lagged, but at the same time as like trying to figure out where to go, what to do, The thing we did the first day, though, then I had planned on this, even though I had no idea how to get there until much later, was to go to Akihabara, which, for those that are listening that don't know, Akihabara is basically the mecca for
nerds.
Well, yeah, nerds in general. In particular, those that are into like anime, video games, everything, tech stuff, everything that's right up my alley. It's the perfect spot.
Arcades.
Yeah, I got to enjoy some of those. The Japanese arcade experience is completely different than it is here.
We went to a few.
Yeah.
But before we went to Akihabara and we finally figured out the maps, we were on a subway. That was the first time I went on a subway, and it was awesome.
That's technically the first time I've been on a subway. Not the first time I've been on a train, but
it's not really a train. It's more like a subway.
And this is something I actually have to kind of discuss here. I'm sorry for shifting the camera. We had been told, and a lot of people said online and whatever else, how hard it was to navigate the Japanese subway system if you don't know what the hell you're doing. But the first guy we saw when we were trying to get to Akihabara gave us a map and explained that everything is basically connected by colors and
letters.
And yeah, colors and letters and everything else. And when you really sat and looked at it, it was not that hard to figure out at all.
Yeah, the map, and then like seeing it in person, I'm like, oh, okay, I got it. Like, this is preschool stuff. But I think he was the security guard.
Yeah, he was the security guard.
So they basically had like the watchman for the whole thing. There's probably like a morning and a night guy, but yeah, they sit there and just watch and take money and give tickets, all that good stuff. But they were dressed like in uniform.
So I think just real quick, what I'm going to do is actually just run down some of my personal favorite experiences from those first few days.
Yeah.
Not counting, obviously, some of our bigger trips, which we'll get into. The food, I think, was one of the bigger first ones. One of the first things I think I ate there, not counting a shit ton of just snacks, because why not?
Family Mart.
Yeah, we had a Family Mart right down the street from where we were.
We went there every day.
And I tried their pork buns, and I had never had those up till that point, but man, were they damn good. Especially the spicy ones.
Yeah. And the pizza one. I only had a bite of those because you and Raiden were like, yeah!
That pizza one was interesting, too, because I really didn't expect it to be any good. We also went to a crepe place in Akihabara.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, well, crepes are a French delicacy. In Japan, they have their own kind of take on them.
They have a lot of them there, too. We saw, like, after we went to Akihabara one, we kept seeing them. He had like a fruit berry one. It was like strawberry and blueberry. Mine was like chocolate. It was so good. And Raiden was even like...
And then there was the ramen place we went to. The only thing about that disappointed me was I got spicy ramen. And I guess spicy in Japan isn't always that spicy.
The thing I was going to say, I still say that they mixed ours up, because I got a less spicy one. It was like spicy chicken or something like that, and he got like the extra spicy one. Mine had like this paste that was on it that you like mixed in, and it was very deep red, and I'm like, this is really good, it's spicy. He tried it and said it was even spicier than his, so I think they switched ours. I mean, I'm not going to complain, it was really good, and he still liked his, so it's an honest mistake.
So, what actually... Another thing to mention in our first few days was, I don't know if it was from jet lag or what, but Raiden did actually get sick on the second day.
Yeah, I don't know what his problem was. I think he might have had like a slight fever. I don't know because I didn't have a thermometer or anything. He felt a little warm, but not like burning. So he went to the pharmacy, which is again not that far from our hotel, and the girl actually spoke pretty good English and helped him out. Like got him, I think it was like some baby Tylenol and these little things that you put on your head to cool your head. And I put one of those on him and he seemed fine. I think it was just jet lag because after he slept pretty much all day, he was better by night.
Yeah. Regardless though, the second day we were there, it was rainy out. And
we basically stayed in and watched TV and relaxed.
And it's very interesting some of the stuff that Japanese TV has. I know some people think that it would be, just over-the-top game shows and shit like that, but what we caught were more sporting events, but they weren't the sporting events. Yeah, it was basically track and field that we caught on their television, just a normal track meet. And there was also Go. They had, really early in the morning, they had a Go tournament thing going on.
Yeah.
Which, again, for those that don't know, Go is an Asian board game that is very similar in some aspects to chess.
Yeah, but they brought it over here too.
So again, seeing that on their main television channels is kind of weird. We also did see a couple anime basically before they were released over here and stuff, like Pokemon and whatnot.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember which one it was.
There was Doraemon, Pokemon, One Piece. I think we caught the end of Demon Slayer.
One thing I'm going to say, one of the interesting ones was it was a kid's show, but the song Bohemian Rhapsody was a main focus of it.
Yeah, we actually heard that song a lot over there, which was weird. But,
yeah. And it was sung in English.
So, I see we're getting up there in time, so I'm just going to move on to New Year's Eve. So this was one of the big things we were going to do, is I wanted to go celebrate New Year's Eve in Japan somewhere, and then on New Year's Day, in Japanese culture, they traditionally visit a temple, a Buddhist temple, and they ring the bell, pray for good luck, which we probably should not have done because look how 2020 turned out. But on New Year's Eve, we went to the Tokyo Sky Tree. Mm-hmm. Which is one of two big towers in the Tokyo area. It's like a broadcasting area. I think they broadcast television shows or whatever from it. It's like a radio thing.
So, yeah.
But we went there for the festivities and ended up not staying until midnight because it was unbelievably cold and windy out there.
It was like a tsunami or like a hurricane wind.
So we went home a little early and then we watched there, and forgive me, I can't remember the name of it. There's another traditional Japanese thing, at least as it's concerning television. It's some sort of singing competition that they air on New Year's Eve every year.
It's New Year's special.
And we kind of caught the tail end of that. But while we were in the Skytree, we did buy a lot of cool little knickknacks and things of that sort. A bunch of Kit Kats.
Kit Kats, yeah.
But the real story of New Year's comes the next day when we went to Shibuya. Shibuya is one of Japan's biggest districts, and it does kind of have a reputation as being a place where on certain days like Halloween, New Year's Eve, etc., people will go there to drink. There's actually a Facebook page called Shibuya Meltdown that has a couple of screenshots and other things of some of the festivities, let's just put it that way, in the Shibuya area. But we had kind of gleaned it from the news as well as other things that a bunch of foreigners on New Year's Eve had basically wrecked the whole Shibuya area.
Yeah, and got arrested.
And when we went on New Year's Day to Shibuya, because New Year's Day, a lot of places are closed, so we just decided we're going to go then. It was pretty trashed, which is saying a lot for Japan, honestly.
Yeah, there was a bunch of garbage vans and stuff, and they were picking up trash off the street.
Generally speaking, the Japanese people don't litter all that often, and a lot of places are very clean. So to know that this area, this big district, was basically trashed by, well, we're mostly foreigners, it was, I kind of felt bad. I kind of felt guilty, even though I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah. It's like, we weren't here last night.
Yeah, all we did was went home and slept after midnight. But, so the reason we did that, though, which we took video of, is we went to the famous Shibuya Crossing, which is another big location in a lot of anime, a lot of video games. So obviously my stupid nerdy ass wanted to do it.
Well, we went to Shibuya because we wanted to go to their new Nintendo store. And we did go, but it was a 3-hour wait.
Yeah, that Nintendo store had just... The Nintendo store has a bunch of, as you probably would guess, Nintendo-related goods. Little toys, games,
clothing,
collectibles, and other collectibles that you just aren't going to find anywhere else, usually not even online. But because it was so new, and also there was a lot of people out at the time, it was a significantly long wait, like 3 or 4 hours just to get in the door, and we just decided that wasn't worth it, and went to the Pokemon Center, which was significantly less crowded.
It was right across from it, too.
Yeah.
And we went to the Shonen Jump store, which was like around the same area, too.
Yeah, the Shonen Jump store was pretty interesting, but didn't really get too much there. Or do too much there.
I got My Hero Academia stuff for my niece. Well, before we go to the next thing, I just wanted to add a couple things. One from Akihabara. There was a sweets merchant trying to sell us cheesecake, and I think the other thing might have been like candy or mochi. And I was like, he's like, oh, bear with me, my English ain't very good. And I was like, you seem to be speaking it fine to me, but it like he kind of guilt tripped me. And he's like, oh, please just buy one. And I'm like, okay, we'll get a cheesecake. And I was just thinking, I'm like, this is the oddest thing yet. But I'm like, thank God it wasn't like a drug dealer, because if you go anywhere else, that's usually what it is. But I just thought it was funny. And the other thing is, when it was rainy and like everyone was sleeping and stuff like that, and that night I went on a walk by myself for like an hour. I didn't mean it to be that long. I was just exploring, and you can feel really safe over there. Like over here in America, you walk at night, you're probably gonna get raped or kidnapped. Over there, no. Everyone's running in the streets, having fun. I saw a couple with a young girl chasing after each other and giggling. I was like, this is nice. This is nice. And it was so beautiful with like all the skyscrapers lit up, and there was this bridge near our hotel and like the no. Do you remember what was the lake called?
Sumida River.
Yeah.
It was the Sumida River.
That was near us, and it was really pretty.
So, the big thing that for Sonja, I wanted to do, and I want to do this for her, was the Ueno Zoo. And the reason for that is because it's one of the few zoos that have pandas. So we made a special trip there to basically to see the pandas. Obviously, we did other things there.
It was a family trip.
A lot more animals in that zoo than...
It was a big zoo.
Yeah, a lot of the other zoos I've been to.
I saw a giraffe. I've never seen a giraffe, and I'm like, goddamn.
But yeah, Sonja got to see her pandas, and I actually think that she got a little emotional at some point.
Yes. I just wish I could have held them.
It was kind of... It was very small, but I guess it was kind of my little gratitude or like thank you to her, because I got to do something I always wanted to do by going to Japan in general. And I knew this was something that she's always wanted to see live pandas. She's always wanted to hold them, but unfortunately that one will have to wait.
That's in China.
So I was glad I was able to do that for her, or at least help her do that.
Yeah, but we thought we were only seeing one. I saw 3. But two of them were sleeping, and then the last one was actually walking around and stuff. And it was about a half hour to an hour wait. I think it was like 45 minutes, because we actually got bumped up because I had a stroller. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, they kind of gave us a little bit of preferential treatment. Not just there either, but we got a little bit of preferential treatment on the ride home too.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
But yeah, anything else you want to add from the trip right now?
Yeah. Don't trust the pigeons there. They will attack you. Animals in Japan are like Disney movie, like princess, when they come up to you and stuff. The birds, we're not afraid of you. Deer will go, there's like a thing called Deer Island. The deer will go right up to you and like beg for food, basically. And they have a cat island. The animals are very friendly there, and they just let them be.
Yeah, it is weird, and I'm not sure why they're like that, but hey, whatever. Because there are hunters there. It's not like I don't know. Maybe it's just because they're more, I guess, respectful of nature in general.
Yeah, they're very nature. That's like Buddhism, one with nature and stuff. The other thing is, our last day, there was a park near us, and we sat there, and it was like huge and really pretty. There was like a small playground that we went to, and there's 2 little... They were either Dutch or French, and they were playing with Raiden, and he was like giggling at them and stuff like that. And they were really beautiful kids, because they had like big old blue eyes. And the other thing is, we went to a Zen garden, which was awesome. But Matt lost a hat, and I almost lost his favorite stuffed animal, a candy corn, in the river, but he managed to get it. So, yeah.
So I think the last thing I was going to leave off on is... just to make our whole thing complete, our Japanese experience, we had an earthquake. Yeah, so it happened a couple days before we left.
Yeah, it was like in the middle of the week.
But we were on the 11th floor of the hotel, as Sonja had said earlier, and we felt it pretty goddamn clearly up there. So it definitely shook the ground a good bit.
Well, at first I was like, wait a minute, because I felt like swaying, and I'm like, are we having an earthquake? And you asked the same thing. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I think we are, because they had hangers on the wall, and they were going like this. And I was like, oh yeah, we're totally... So we turned on the TV. Yeah, we couldn't understand it, but they were basically showing from the river to where we were.
All the images we were seeing on the TV basically led to earthquake.
It wasn't a big one, though. I think it was like a 4 in the river, but when it got to us, it was like down to almost a 2.
So, in conclusion of this unbelievably long story, which I apologize for, we would love to go again it was a great experience, and there was a lot of stuff I feel, especially for me, that I haven't done that I want to do.
Oh no, we haven't even scraped the iceberg yet.
The unfortunate thing of this, though, is obviously the pandemic going on, and Japan in particular seems to be having a lot of trouble keeping things under control, for one reason or the other. But like I said, little did we know when I said that I might not have another chance to do it. I probably was very right about that, unfortunately. But like
we're gonna keep trying.
Like I had promised before, we do have a little bit of swag to show off. So Sonja, go ahead and show off a few of your things, and then I'll do mine.
All right. First thing is this little panda that I got at Wayno Zoo because it's for the baby. I was trying to find his name. I can't remember. Wait, Xing Shang? So I think that's...
Xing Shang, yeah.
It's an X, but I think it's
yeah,
pronounced as an S. But yeah, I got his little baby thing because I think he just went back to China now. Of course, I gotta get a souvenir shirt.
It's actually a pretty big shirt, too, for Japanese sizes.
Yeah, it shrank a little bit. One place I wanted to go to but couldn't was Kirby Cafe. I got a couple. I think most of my stuff's in here. I did get one thing from the Kirby Cafe. Tote Life. I got like this little stuffed Kirby and a squishy panda. I can show that extra closer. That was from the zoo, and it was because it was the year of the rat, which was it 2020? It makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah. What brings plague and disease more than rats?
This is a little Daruma. I can't get his face out there.
Yes, Dharma are also... We'll see if you can see it. Yeah, that picked up pretty good. These are... I believe they're luck... they're used for different things. So this particular one's a luck charm one. You're supposed to paint the faces of them.
Got this Japanese book. I think it's like... I was looking at it. I think it's like unsolved deaths or like weird things that happen to people. Oh, I got a Mr. Tom Nook. Got some,
Make sure you speak up a little bit. It's kind of not picking up as much, I think.
Oh, they'll see it. We got a couple gachapons. These are 2 Kirby's. And, I'll take this one out because it's easy. I thought it was easy.
She'll take this one out because it's easy. Oh, Jesus.
It's fine. Slime.
Yeah, I had one also, but I left it at my old job, and then when I went to pick it up, they said it wasn't there. I don't know if they threw it out or not, but...
Alright, let me... Ow!
Jesus. I forgot what was in here.
Well, I think my speaker cards are in here somewhere, but you can continue. I'll see if I can find them real quick.
Alright, so on my end, I got probably more of what you'd probably expect. To begin with, for no reason whatsoever, I got this weekly Shonen Jump. And this is the magazine that a lot of popular anime basically originated from, including Dragon Ball, Naruto, Bleach. So when I went to Japan, I knew I had to get at least one copy of this, and it was a lot harder to find than you would think because they sell out really quick. These also sell out really quick and were hard to find. It is a weekly pro wrestling magazine because, I mean, it's wrestling. But as far as wrestling publications in Japan, this is definitely the biggest one. So, again, I really wanted to get it. The next thing is interesting. Sonja found this.
First day at Family Mart.
Yeah, at Family Mart. These are... I'll take them out of the box real quick. These are Hanafuda cards.
Which is what Nintendo did before.
Yes. So for those that don't know, prior to making video games, Japan or Nintendo made Hanafuda cards, which are Japanese playing cards, and I'll show you a couple of them real quick. I bet if I can get them. They have this artwork and stuff on them. Don't ask me how to play it. I have no idea. But the cool thing about this is, apparently Nintendo does indeed still make them, but they can only be found in Japan, obviously. You probably can order them online, I imagine, but when I saw this kind of, what I'm just going to call a cool artifact, I did want to get it. To me, the coolest thing I got while I was over there was this, right here. This is a Famicom Mini. The Famicom is what stands for Family Computer, and it was what Nintendo, the NES, was called in Japan. What makes this particular one special was it's an officially licensed Nintendo console, or Nintendo Mini console, that is also in celebration of Shonen Jump, their 50th anniversary or something like that. Yeah, 50.
It's only found in Japan, too.
Yeah, this thing was not for sale in any way, shape, or form outside of Japan, and is exceedingly rare to an extent. Not as rare as some of the ones over here, but it was definitely worth getting. But, so, that's it for this long episode, I guess. It took a lot longer to get through this whole thing than I thought. I'm a mess. It's hot in here.
I thought it was good, though, because, we basically covered everything, and some people were really interested in it.
So, I do want you guys to let us know what you think of this new format. Oh, quick question. Ty, my friend Ty, he had submitted a question for this week. He actually asked me if me and Raiden were ever to become a tag team, what we would call ourselves. I honestly have been trying so hard to think of a name and could not come up with anything.
The Bears.
The Bears?
Yeah, because you're Papa Bear and he's Little Bear.
Eventually, I will come up with a name, and when I do, I will post in a future episode. Speaking of future episodes, next week we are going to take a deep dive into a story that I know some of you have been waiting for, as I take a look at the legend of Snorkel.
Yay.
So, until next time, thanks for watching, and if you guys like this format, let us know. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And thank you very much for watching and putting up with this exceedingly long, barely edited episode. Thank you, and have a great day.
Bye.
Oh, shit.